Okay, we're back after the quick break, and we are going to talk about generators. That's something I'm really interested in, and I don't know a whole lot about. And all I know is I have my own little peaker plant off grid, and you guys are trying to get a peaker plant cooking. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about all the different generators around the province that MB Power uses to keep these lights on right now. And there's generators I don't know about. But everyone knows about the big ones. They know about Mactaquac. They know about the ones that hit the news. Baldoon, maybe. LaPro, that's a curse word. And so let's talk about what I would love to see, and I've kind of proposed this before, in for the customers. I would love to be able to see what generator is running, what is keeping the lights on right now, what is charging my electric car, because sometimes it's coal is charging my electric car if I had an electric car. Sometimes it's water, and these things cost different amount of money. So it's going to cost so much to run Coulson Cove, and it's going to cost so much to run Mactaquac. Well, guess what? The fuel costs at Mactaquac, nothing. So what I've proposed is we have a whole map of the province with all the different generators around there, and it's not confidential, and show what one's running, how much power is going where, and maybe the cost of running each one, because we're talking about bringing out time of use, which means your power is going to cost more in certain times of the day.
Right.
And we're introducing time of use onto a population that does not know what a kilowatt hour is. It's going to be a party, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to see something like that. I'd love to even see if it was, I'm sure there's confidential stuff, but how much power are we buying from someone else, and how much are we selling it, and how much are we getting for it? And that's a big part of the business. And it's our business. We own this ship together as shareholders. And I think it would be cool to see that, and it would help people understand why we have to bring out time of use rates. Now, and I know time of use is actually going to be a good opportunity for people to save money, and we'll get into that later. But so maybe we can talk about the generators. And I was going to ask you what your favorite generator is.
Just on the time of use thing, I think it can be a useful tool, Rudy, for customers, but there's no desire to force customers onto that program.
Right.
So
that's
you're
important
right.
to know.
I think a big piece of it is education and saying, can this rate card work for you? And if it can help you save money in your home or your business, why not offer it? But no desire to force customers to that at all.
And we did a pilot in Shediac, and good learnings from that pilot in Shediac. The differential between the peak power price and the low power price has to be enough to incent people to change their habits and do something different. So good learnings from that pilot in Shediac.
Can I argue with that for a minute?
Well, you can argue with it. Those are the results.
So I heard about that.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You made the power cheaper during non-peak, and you kept the rate exactly the same it is now. Is that right?
No, there was a higher peak price.
Than what it costs now.
Yeah, because net,
Okay.
we have to have a zero impact overall, right? So if it's low in the evening, it has to be higher on peak.
Okay, so right now, I use 16 cents because that's the rate after tax. So right now, most people pay 16 cents, we'll say, all day, all night.
All day, all night.
So when you had the pilot project, what was it during the peak?
Yeah, so those customers would have seen a price higher than that 16 cents for the on-peak hours. And then there was like a slack peak in some customers. It depends on, we broke it up into kind of a science experiment.
Yeah.
And actually the National Research Commission or Institute
Council, yep.
ran that for us to it wasn't an MB Power experiment.
Yeah.
So trained scientists, that's what they do for a living, said, here's how we would like to experiment how different rates can motivate your customers to do different things.
So they came up with the schemes.
They came up with, we'd like you to break up your customers into different segments. Some had batteries, some had solar, some had just rates, some had programmable thermostats, and kind of throw it all into the blender to say what's working for customers and what's not.
And what do we need to do differently to incent them differently?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, some customers saw much higher rates during the critical peak parts of our day, or during the daylight hours, for lack of a better word. Yeah. And the reward for that is there'd be an off-peak, a super low peak, or a super low rate, like you talk about.
What are these numbers? I need numbers.
Yeah, so I think the on-peak rate was close to 30 cents.
Yeah.
And then the off-peak rate was something like closer to 6 cents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that excites me.
Yeah.
But I think where we need to get to first is on smart meters. People can see how they're using electricity.
Right.
And then we can offer different time of use pricing, because there is a risk that if we offer time of use pricing and a customer doesn't change their habits,
Yeah, they're going to get reamed.
their bill could go up.
Yeah.
So we want to be sure that we roll this out in a way that allows customers that want to participate, as Brad said, that want to opt in and want to make changes in their behaviors, they will see savings. But if you do everything the same way and opt into the program, then there is a risk your bill could go up.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So in Ontario, they used to, I don't know if they still have that, they have the ultra low.
Yes.
And the ultra low was 3 to 4 cents overnight.
Yep.
But the peak was 80 cents a kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
So
you got to pay for that savings somehow, and that's how you do it. So if you're going to consume during the high periods, you got to pay more than how we do it today in New Brunswick.
Yeah, it's just going to align with your load profile and your cost profile, because that load, when the peaks are high, it's costing you more to make that electricity.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So you asked me about my favorite generator.
Yeah.
And so I love them all the same, but I would say
you love LaPro.
I do love LaPro. Yes, I do.
Like
absolutely.
all year round, or just when it's running?
I love it all year round, actually, and the people are really what I love about all of our generating stations. The generating station that is the most underrated, I would say, is Pt2 because of all of the things that it does for our system. So it provides black start capability, meaning it is one of the only units that if the whole province went black, we could start things back up by just opening up the gates and letting the water flow through the turbines. It provides a lot of other ancillary type services that the grid needs to be stable. It is the battery for the Atlantic provinces. We have very little storage capability, but it does act as the battery for the whole Atlantic area and provides us, helps us meet those peaks with zero cost energy. But I don't know that people understand the value that Pt2 brings to our system and how our whole power grid was basically in the province built around Pt2. But I don't love it more than I love any of the others because they all serve different purposes.
No, you have to have a favorite.
Who's your favorite kid? Yeah.
It was a favorite. You have to pick the favorite.
No, but they all serve different purposes
and they're all important. Which kid do you hate the most? You must have one you hate the most.
The one that is the most problematic for me is Beldoon. And not because I don't like Beldoon, but because the conversion to coal is causing rate pressure for us. It's the conversion from coal, is causing rate pressure for us. So that one is problematic. And that's not anyone's fault in Beldoon, or it's not any of the employees' faults, but it's going to cause short-term rate pressure as we transition. It's the right thing to do for the environment, but that plant's not ready to retire until the 2040s. And so in our transition to a cleaner source of electricity, which it will be the largest unit we have that is clean, but it is going to put upward pressure on our rates as a result.
I think it's cool. Now, just because we're using local fuel, now coal's cheap, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, I'm just guessing. And,
it is cheap.
And I learn a lot of things just from a cell phone, as a lot of us do. What's the fuel cost going to do by switching to black pellets versus coal?
Yeah, like rough numbers, coal today without a carbon tax is about $60 to $70 a ton, and under the pellet scenario, it's going to be closer to $350 a ton for the fuel.
What, I know it's a dollar amount, but as far as like BTUs per dollar, I guess a unit that I would know would be million BTUs per dollar.
Yeah, so our coal today has about 13,500 BTUs per pound, or per ton rather. And so we'd have to break out our calculators to do the math on that.
Okay, so what would it do to let's say the wholesale rate of electricity coming out of that plant?
It's 5 times more expensive.
That's the right way to look at it.
That's what I'm looking at.
So, and Rudi, like you mentioned, it's a federal policy, so we don't have a choice, and we have to comply.
We can revolt.
We could, but at the end of the day, you'd be breaking federal laws, right? So, like at the end,
the CEO, he used to remind me, the CEO will go to jail, so we can't have that happen.
Yeah, it's punishable by jail time. Like this is something to be taken serious. $1 million a day in fines and potentially jail time for somebody like Lori.
Doesn't follow the rules of saving the environment.
Right. So I think and it's not an MB Power issue. This is a national issue. It's bigger than MB Power, and the province has done its job to kind of advocate for our company and our province. So it's all coming together here. But we have no choice. Today it's a law, so we have to work on figuring out how do we comply with the law, because breaking the law isn't really responsible either, right? So we have to figure it out. What's the right way to do this, and a safe way to do this, a practical way to do this? But you introduce carbon policies, and the idea is to make cheap and abundant fuel is more expensive for a reason, because they don't want you to use them because it's polluting the environment. It's causing global warming.
Yeah, but it's also bankrupting a lot of us too, this carbon tax.
Yeah.
But we can't get into that.
No,
we're getting on a rabbit trail
It's not an
now.
issue we can fix here at this table, but I think your feelings and many New Brunswickers would share the same feelings. And it doesn't matter how we feel about it. Today it's a federal law that we have to comply with.
Oh, everyone wants the cheap electricity, and this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Coal's cheap, and we're not allowed to use it anymore. But you don't want us to pollute, the people. We've done some surveys, and so you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Right.
So 5 times more. That's a lot. And
For fuel.
In Baldoon, it carries the province a lot of times.
Yeah, it's one of our base load units.
Yeah.
And it's because of the increased cost of fuel, the role it plays will change as well. It will be a peaker
Okay. It'll be
going
a peaker.
forward.
So, what will it do to my price of wood pellets? Is there going to be a shortage?
No,
That thing's
it's a
gonna
different
eat
pellet completely that we're planning on using. How do I say it?
It still comes from a tree.
Well, it does, but it doesn't. So, I love the language we talk about clear cuts in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
And I see you in the woods a lot. You came across a lot of clear
live there.
cuts. Yeah, exactly. They're not really clear when you look down at your feet. You can barely walk across what we call a clear cut. There's a lot of stuff that's left behind. Slash,
Yep.
scrub, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
Treetops, branches. There's no market for that now because you can't really do anything with it. So they leave it behind.
Okay.
So the proposal here is to say, well, can we harvest the stuff that we're wasting from the natural resources today? Can we put that to a higher value use rather than leaving it behind in the forest? You got to leave some of it there for nutrients to regrow the next forest.
But most of our regular wood pellets are, it's a byproduct anyway.
It's a byproduct, exactly. So we're not going to take away from the byproducts. We'll harness anything that's out there that's otherwise not going into a pellet. But the least value thing you can do with New Brunswick's beautiful fiber is to turn it into a pellet. So that's why we take sawdust residue, wood chips that we can't use other things for. Like, it goes into the pellets. So
But be clear, we're not cutting trees.
we're not cutting trees. We're going in to harvest the stuff that we don't even put into pellets.
Will it
today.
open up a new market for people?
I think so. I think
Like
this is the fuel is so good from a drop-in replacement for coal. Like, I really think
I heard the test went well.
Yeah, the test went incredibly well, right?
I think that's important. The fuel costs are considerably higher, but
Yeah.
the capital renovations that we need to do to the station are minimal. And that's
Yeah.
what will allow us to get to the end of
Just
the
a big
life
wood
of
stove.
24.
And think about, like, you say the fuel costs are higher. Well, yeah, okay, but where's that money going? It's going into the New Brunswick forestry
Exactly.
sector.
You're right.
Like, that's what I think about it. We already harvested a tree. We took all the valuable parts from it, and now MB Power's coming in for the slash.
Yeah. I'm surprised it was that much more 5 times. I'm generally, I think it's great that we're burning something local. I learned about wood pellets, which is pretty cool, and we can buy them 5 minutes from here. And I'm only another 10 minutes down the road again. Like, it's locals. I'm not.
Well, and it helps keep the plant open in Baldoon. It's good for the local economy.
Yeah, it'll keep
and
people
suppliers.
spending money
There will
and
be other suppliers that
spending
are
taxes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, what do you think of my idea of like showing everybody where the power's coming from and what's running?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's something we should consider, and especially as we're moving to time of use rates, because there should be a correlation with as the rates go up, then there's more expensive assets being put on their system.
Yeah, I think it's super important to get people because I get super interested in this, and you get just more in tune with where your power is coming from and where it's going. Energy monitors, right, and how it's how you guys have to manage that stuff, because a lot of people don't know that.
Right.
Okay, just for kicks, tell me about the child. We're calling the generators childs now.
Okay.
Children.
Children,
Tell us about
okay.
the child that no one knows about. Like a jet engine or something.
Oh, I mean, like, geez, they're all over the place. Nipisquit Falls is one that we don't talk about a lot. Sisson Falls is another one, a small hydro facility.
Okay.
St. Rose, well-loved peaker plant.
Like, where's
Well, actually,
where's
I
St.
don't
Rose?
love the peaker plants, but I'm changing my mind on the peaker plants. So
Yeah.
I used to be, when we had to run a peaker plant, it meant we had an unplanned outage somewhere. But one of the plants went down, one of our base load units went down, and we had to fire up a jet engine, and it was $300 a megawatt hour or something like that. So I hated it when it happened, because
Right.
something
Which-
unplanned had
Yeah,
happened.
it's
And
unplanned,
it was,
and you're bleeding money when it's running.
yeah, it's very expensive.
But you're giving it a workout, so it doesn't,
Well, yeah,
corrode
testing
over.
it. But the last couple of years, they are one of my favorite assets, because we have been deficient and not been able to supply
keeping
the
the lights
province.
on.
They're keeping the lights on right
Yeah.
now. They are keeping
See,
the
that's
lights
what
on
I think would
for
be
us.
really important, and it might sway some people in your argument. Like, you guys don't want to spend a bunch of money. We don't have any money, for one, but we don't want to spend a bunch of money on a new peaker plant. But it's going to keep the lights on. And I think that's important for us to know. It's the same reason I have to go out and start a generator when I had no sun for 2 weeks and nobody changed their habits. None of my little ratepayers running around my house changed their habits at all. All the lights are on and everyone's in bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have to start a generator, and it's like, it's probably 70 cents a kilowatt hour to run a gas generator.
Yeah.
So, and I have no other option. What am I going to do? Get on an exercise bike, hook to a generator, and try to charge my battery back up? That's inconvenient.
And it doesn't matter about the season too, right? So sometimes like we run these backup generators just because something happened. Last week we had to run some of them. There was an issue on the power system. Nobody knows about it because, hey, the system worked. We had enough redundancy and backup plans to keep everything together.
It would be cool to know that you had to do that.
Yeah.
And why. I think that would be cool.
Right. Because we are running into problems with load growing, not just in the winter, as Brad said, but we have to take planned outages during the summer so that our units are available to run when we need them.
Right.
So when we have units on a planned outage during the summer and we have a spike in our load for heat or whatever, then we're at risk right now as well of not being able to supply the province in the middle of summer when our units are on planned outages. Yeah.
The bottom line is, I think favorites is the wrong question. You need them all, right? And what we're doing right now in front of the Energy and Utilities Board is trying to figure out, hey, is this new Tantramar gas plant, or what we call a renewable integration and grid security project, worth it?
Oh yeah, Brad, talk more about not just the combustion turbines, but the fact that we have the synchronized condensers. Without getting into the technical.
Yeah.
That does sound technical. Did you say synchronized condenser?
Yeah, so it's funny, like how the power system works. We get a bunch of benefits from generators just because they're connected to our system, right? So it could be Mactaquac, it could be Point Lepreau, it could be Beldoon. Just having that spinning, rotating machine on the grid acts like a big shock absorber on the grid.
Flywheel.
It's a big flywheel, right? I call it glue. Your word works well too. Like flywheels are great, but we don't have any of that going on in the southeast of our province, right? There's no major generation down there, and if we want to integrate more renewables, if we want to have more solar, with even behind the meter, in front of the meter, whatever way you want to think about it, more battery storage, more wind turbines, they all operate on DC, and you have to have an inverter, right, Rudy? Like your systems have an inverter. That inverter
Unless we
doesn't
change the grid to DC.
Yeah.
That sounds expensive.
Well, I mean, I think they proved that a few hundred years ago that wasn't going to make sense. But what goes on there is to say, well, if you have everything on inverters, where's your stability? Where's that glue or flywheel?
You need the flywheel. You need the buffer.
So this new project is going to be able to be a flywheel for our grid, and it doesn't have to burn any fuel when it's doing that service. It has a big clutch. You unhook the generators from the turbines, so it just operates there as a big flywheel, and you can get all those services, the shock absorbers, the glue that I'm talking about.
So the generator's basically spinning.
It's spinning like a machine on your system.
With electricity.
Yeah.
Because it's a generator / motor.
Very little electricity coming into the grid, but it's providing all those services back out to the grid.
Right. So someone trips over a wire and unplugs an extension cord somewhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see the grid as great big extension cords. Right.
Well, it's not wrong. If you have a fault, your grid can fall down. If you have a wire fall down.
Over.
Yeah. This thing allows you to ride through those events just like a flywheel would in your system.
So it would be cool to have a video of you like in this virtual plant that you want to do and explain how this is beneficial, and it doesn't burn any fuel to do that.
It'd be cooler to have you do that, Rudy.
I know, I'd love to do that, but it's time. I'd love to go to every one of the major plants and like take a guy with a video camera and just be like, this is this, and this is how this works, and this is how old this is, and this is what it's doing right now. Like that would be super cool if you guys had someone that could do something like that. Really cool.
I was with a woman last week at the Grand Falls Power Station, 1927 vintage. It was like walking back into a museum. But that's pretty cool when you walk in and you see how our stations all contribute.
How come no one talks about refurbishing and updating Grand Falls?
No concrete reaction. What we have going on at Mactaquac is a concrete reaction.
Yeah, but isn't there a lot more potential than we have?
A second unit in Grand Falls. Sorry, we do talk about it. In fact, one of the things I was talking about last week was exactly that with the people that work up there, trying to understand how they see it working.
Because wasn't there a plan for that back when Frank McKenna got in?
Yeah. So whenever we're spilling around Grand Falls, like filling up the gorge there, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Beautiful lookout. I was up there too.
Did you go on the zip line?
Nah, they were getting set up though. I was talking to the guys running the wires across the valley there where the water's running through. So whenever that water is coming through there, that's your opportunity to have an expansion at Grand Falls. And so when that happens is usually in the spring, and when we're doing
for a very short period.
For a very short period,
so
and that's when
worth the
we're not really
squeeze.
Heating a lot of homes in New Brunswick at that period of time. No. The same level in the middle of the winter. So that's why the Grand Falls project is it's not technically hard to figure out. It's more of an economic chart. Like, how do you do that in a way that makes sense, that can help save money?
So yeah, I just thought about that. A nice thing about solar and water, it's free fuel, right? We don't have to do anything with that, and we're not talking a whole lot about solar, but we will. So thanks for watching. I'm glad we're kind of talking about how everything works right now, and then we'll kind of talk about how renewables might tie in, and I've got some ideas and whatnot, and you guys are aware of that, but we'll take a quick little break and come back.
We should talk about nuclear too. We're the only province outside of Ontario that has a nuclear plant.
Okay. We'll talk about nuclear too, as per the CEO's request.